Good afternoon. Welcome to my channel. My name is David Okun. Thank you everyone who have been subscribing, who have been sharing my video, who have been helping. I really appreciate your support. We have been talking about the cost of living so far because it's the most important topic for ordinary people of the world, up and down the country, in the UK, in the developed world, in the Middle East, and also in Africa. Leave a comment below if you know in your country what help is being given by the government. But I've been exploring the market in a more in a broader context. I've looked at now looking at the militarism. Militarism means the military involvement in under the government and politics of the world, or also under the economic systems of the world. Look at capitalism, and I've said these are actually the causes of the cost of living, because I said if you want to solve a problem, you need to know what is causing it and find a solution. And I have already said that the government is helping where the government is helping in and I also said the best form of help is actually from the ordinary people in the family, individuals helping themselves, and also the community members, and like churches in the UK here, community centers, food banks, energy company being supported by the government, grants and things like that. Grants are actually money you get from the government which you don't pay back. And I already said elsewhere that these kind of help are there, but they are not easy to get because the government has now changed the way it actually provide help for people in the UK. But also, what happens in the UK actually happens in the Western world, in America, in Europe, and in the Middle East, and now also in parts of Africa. And this is the case because of globalization, which I also looked at. If you look at the other video, going forward, the other videos going forward, I'll be actually repeating some of these points and to try and actually provide a point of view as to what's really causes the cost of living. And like I said, if you know the causes, then you can solve the problem. I know there are a lot of people who believe that if they are going through hardship, or if their family or friends are going through hardship, the problem is going to go away without them having to solve these problems. But what I'm trying to say is that the cost of living is just an opportunity for everyone to learn how to pay attention to issues in their lives. Can be personal issues, can be family, can be commercial, can be even involving ambition. Maybe you like to invest in a business. Maybe you want to actually become rich. A lot of people probably want to be rich. Probably some people don't want to be rich necessarily. Whatever your mindset, your belief, your sets of values, and whatever you want to do, you have to really solve the problem yourself, and you are actually the author of your life. And there are a lot of help from different sources. Some are expected, others are not. The government is the main source of help now, although the government is now changing, like I said in the other videos. And there is now we have systems of capitalism, which is actually becoming more extreme. We looked at the war on Ukraine. I'm actually discussing a group in Russia known as the Wagner. The Wagner Group is a private military outfit funded by the Russian, controlled by the Russian government. Some actually allege that this Wagner Group are actually owned by the Russian President Vladimir Putin. And if you know anything about the Wagner Group, I only heard about them recently. I didn't know much about it. I'm looking at the material now. I've been going through it. I'll be going through it because what I'm trying to do is to connect the war in Ukraine with the cost of living, and also connect any crisis at all, including the war in Ukraine, with capitalism. And capitalism, as if you look at the other, if you view the other videos I've actually posted, I tried to trace the history of capitalism and to know about anything involving politics and economics. What you need to know is actually know about capitalism. I spoke also about globalization. You need to know about globalization. If you don't want to know about any of these things, that is fine, except that it is not fine in the sense that ignorance is not really your best friend. And a lot of people actually think, if you bury your head in the sand, then problem will go away. Problem is part of some people call problem differently. They call it challenges. You call it whatever you like. Leave a comment below. Leave a comment below and let me know what you refer to problem as. Different people are call different things differently. Let me know if I talk about problems such as the cost of living, such as the war in Ukraine, such as ones involving capitalism. Let me know what you call them. Do you call them problem or something else? Some people call it challenges. But it's the same. It doesn't matter how you call them, or, what you think, what you do. Problems are for solving. That is actually the nature of human life. Once you are actually born into the world as a human being, you start facing challenges from the start until you die. And when I talk of death, I mean you die. You grow old and you die. You fall sick. Sometimes you don't recover from your sickness, you die. You got a motor accident or an accident, you die. Or you just die. And what we're trying to talk about, what I'm talking about life. If you want to talk about death, leave a comment below. And if I can talk about death, then we can talk about death. But personally, I prefer to talk about life because life is the only thing which is important in life. And everything we do is to actually stay alive. And there's something called resilience. So resilience is really important. And it means you persevere. You don't give up on yourself. You don't give up on other people. I also spoke about cultural economy, where you have to respect yourself, respect other people, respect your property, respect other people's property. These are actually the essence of culture. Change the way you think peace, think respect, and behave respect. I mean, if you respect somebody, you don't fight them. I mean, if Russia respected Ukraine, they wouldn't be fighting the Ukrainian. If Ukraine was respectful of Russia, they probably won't be fighting. They would be friends. They would be best friends. If everybody was respectful, you wouldn't rule over other people. So the reason people are fighting, the worlds have been fighting from the beginning, and they're going to keep fighting if they're not careful. If I say them, I mean us. If we are not careful, we are going to go extinct. I've been talking to make the difference between those who are rulers and those who are ruled over. I refer to the rulers as being masters, and the rest of the world, citizens, are actually slaves. And this is actually operating under capitalism. And I also said capitalism is the only system in the world, in the past, in the present, in the future. As long as we have a political system, it's going to be called capitalism. Nothing else. They may have different versions of it, which we looked at in other videos. But the more you study capitalism, even at the cursory stages, levels, if you just look at it briefly, you will discover quickly that the only thing in existence from the beginning was capitalism. And that is, capitalism is about rule. And the only way we have a political system is to rule over other people. Humans wanting to rule over other people. So, and the motive for for rule is, I say it actually is exploitation, and also glory. Glory is the product of pride, and exploitation is the product of laziness. So the ruling class are actually lazy, and the working class, although they are also lazy in their attitude, they are forced to work. That's why they are resentful. Working people are so resentful. They are very the they won't work for anyone if they had money. And that's what the rich do. The rich do not touch anyone, and they don't even pay taxes. And they are the minority. They are about only 10%. The rulers are actually about 10%. These are the super rich. They're very, very rich. I've been saying this over and over and over. Some people are probably getting tired of it. If you're getting tired of it, be happy. It means you've been learning a lot from what I'm saying. And be also sad because that means you have been really, really going through a lot of stress listening to this. So enjoy your sadness and happiness at the same time. And in life, you win some, you lose some. And I'm so pleased. I've been saying this. I'm also so sad. I've been having to talk about all this problem, because it's so exciting and it's also very difficult. And every day is really stressful, but I'm also very happy. It's so refreshing knowing I've been able to contribute to human, I don't know, endeavor, whatever you want to call it. I think if we talk about problem, we start a process of solving a problem. And with the cost of living, there has been a lot of mental illness. Mental illness have actually gone up, and suicide, the rate of suicide has gone up, especially among young people. And this is really terrible. This is something we need to be talking about. And I have a lot to talk about actually. Incidentally, I'm going to be talking about, even if you hear that I'm talking about the cost of living, don't think that I'm just talking about the cost of living. I'm talking about other things as well, because how I have designed this material is that I'll be basing all the other factors on the cost of living, because the cost of living actually affects everything. I mean, you may not really think so. I mean, what you name one thing you do which doesn't cost you money, time, wealth, material, could even cost you your life if you're not careful. Look at what is happening in Ukraine. The activity in Ukraine of fighting, Russian fighting, how many people died. And even nature is actually doing its own thing. And what nature does costs a lot of life. And so many people died recently in Syria and in Turkey when the earthquake occurred there. And who would have thought that, nature could also, have its ideas how it wants to relate to the world, to humanity. I don't know what we are doing to contribute, to actually upset nature. And it seems to me that our activity also probably is actually impacting on nature. And you would not know what is really happening. Maybe some people are actually doing some funny research and upsetting the balance of nature. Leave a comment below if you know anything about researchers and scientists actually impacting on how nature behaves. And you don't know what is happening. Maybe the nature also has a spirit or has mindsets, or maybe it is alive. Maybe it's also upset about themselves or about us, because you have a lot of problems, flooding, you have a lot of drought, extreme weather conditions, storms, tsunamis, earthquakes, diseases, COVID-19. I mean, you name it. Life is so chaotic. It seems to me that every time human being fail culturally, the whole hell literally breaks loose. So let us keep an eye on the war in Ukraine. That's why I chose to speak about it in terms of what I call militarism. I actually particularly bump onto a piece of information about a military outfit in Russia, which I knew nothing about. So I'm trying to go through material and explain it in terms of militarism, the war in Ukraine, as a characteristic of globalization, as a characteristic of the market economic system and or capitalism, and also as a characteristic of rule. Rule is a forceful phenomenon. Nobody consents to be ruled over. I mean, anytime you see a government, anytime you see the law, the legal system, and you know one thing, you know there is dictatorship. Dictatorship means forcing other people to do what you want, whether they want it or not. That is what happened with the government. We show it, there are always situations when the government, even in the West, behave like third world, or even worse than third world countries, because they have a lot of resources to do bad things, a lot of bad things. I mean, the richer you are, the more powerful you are. And if you're a bad person, you can do a lot of damage. So the West is a very dangerous place to live, unless there is some control. The best way to actually survive in a powerful area, a powerful world like in the West, in the developed world, is actually to have orderliness. And orderliness is not necessarily freedom. It means actually people are using the power they have to control society. And without controlling society now, we won't actually survive. I've been saying this over and over. So, a lot of people watching my video are probably getting tired of this, but you can't get tired. And you can get tired if you want to get tired. If you get tired, take a break. And if you get fed up, do whatever you want to do. But I really appreciate it if you watch this video or go somewhere else. Because life is about activities. If you go away from this channel, go somewhere else and enjoy your life or endure your life, whichever you would be interested in. So let us look at this group called Wagner. Wagner is, like I said, is a Russian private army being supported by the Russian government, and it is being funded by the government. And leave a comment below if you know anything about the Wagner group. If you don't know about anything about the Wagner group, if you think Russia is funding it, if you think a private military system is good, and in Russia actually a private militarism is wrong. I would say it's wrong, but the law doesn't allow anyone to have a private army in Russia. We have it in America. We have it in Europe. I don't think we have private army in Africa, but because of dictatorship, dictators actually treat national armies as if national armies are actually private, and that is in practice. In theory, different people may say different things. If you are not in Africa, leave a comment below. What is your feelings or your understanding about militarism in Africa? Do dictators, they are dictators in your country? Do you think African leaders are dictators, or there's democracy in Africa? If you think there's democracy, leave a comment below. And if you think there is a national army and there is no sign of dictatorship, where maybe a head of state treat and a political party and treat the army as a private property, or even treating the country as a private property, and also the wealth of the nation is treated like individual kind of like asset. All sorts of things potentially could be happening in your country in terms of the government. And let me know. I'll leave a comment below. So we are going to look at the Wagner group. We have looked at it before in the other videos, and we will look at the kind of power struggle which goes on within the organization. They actually face a power struggle. They fight each other for who should be superior to the other. So although a military outfit like the Wagner is an example of a ruling infrastructure, or even a ruling, you could probably represent a ruling dynasty, which is the Russian dynasty. They're not really, it's not big, but they're, my feeling, without actually having detailed knowledge of the organization, they are actually a community of elite soldiers. They are commandos, special forces, Spetsnaz, something called Spetsnaz in Russia, which means special forces. If you know anything about Spetsnaz, I can't pronounce it properly. Spetsnaz, something like that. Russian languages are really cool. The Russian words are extremely cool, and it takes a lot of effort to pronounce them. And going through this material has been a nightmare. That's an understatement, but I had to go through the material and to the best of my ability and deal with them because I mean, if you talk of things like Plonitsky, Plonitsky, I don't even know what that is. That is like the name of a human being, Plonitsky, and people like that, Igor Konet, Plonitsky, and people like that. So it's really, it sounds like really cool. It's a bit like French words. Russian language is really fantastic. Leave a comment below and let me know what you think about Russian language. The way they sound, I have no, I don't speak Russian. If you speak Russian, leave a comment below and let me know how you feel about the Russian language. I think they are really cool. And I wish we could also produce a cool country. But cool countries is a myth. It's not in Russia alone. It's in Europe. Wherever there is a country, there is nothing cool about a country because of the government. The government is the problem. Because what the government does is actually rule over other people without their consent. And people don't realize they are being ruled over, which is a good thing, but it's also a bad thing, depending on how you feel about it, what you know about it. Leave a comment below if you think you're being ruled over by the government. And if you think the government ruling over you is a good idea, if you think it's a bad idea, leave a comment below and let us know what you're thinking. But I think almost all the political problem created in the world, actually politics itself, is created by exploitation of man by man, which is actually rule. Rule is a form of exploitation of man by man. Anybody wanting to rule over another person is trying to exploit them, and in two ways at least: in robbing them of their wealth and sometimes of their lives, but also of using them for his own amusement. See, because people want glory and they want attention for being great. People think they are so great. They want to be great and showing off. So if you don't control a group of people to show off, or even to set them up for your own amusement, when you arrive in a room, they get up and worship you. They clap their hands, they shout, they praise you, they do everything. They glorify you, and actually that makes you happy. So you're exploiting them for your own amusement, for your own ego, for your own. You feed your you feed your pride by ruling over other people. It's a complex. It's a form of complex, and that's why there is problem in the world. In my opinion, leave a comment below and let me know why are there conflicts? Why are people so envious? Why are people so in rivalry all the time? Leave a comment below. Let me know what you think is the main cause of conflict, politically or even in the family. Family is a form of governing system as well, because who rules the family? Is it a wife? Is it a wife or a husband or both? I understand some couples now. If you ask them, you ask them who is in charge of the home of your home, they will say something like in this home we do things 50-50, which means there is equality. No one is in charge. Everyone is in charge. And if there are children also, with money, who are actually working, probably some children may be working and earning more than their parents, and sometimes you don't know whether the children are in charge more than actually the parents, and such a home is chaotic, and and the results can be really tragic. And it is no accident that the rate of divorce for those who are married, and also if you are not married, the rate of separation and the violence in the family is extraordinary. And the children are normally the victim. They run away, children run away, women are victims more than men. And men are also victims these days because of the government is also pressing men. There are a lot of pressure being put on men by the government because the government wants to rule society, and they target powers in society. And the family, the male figure is actually the source of power, so they are actually persecuted by the state, who wants to be the boss. And taxation is a form of actually of slavery by the oppressor, by the state, by the slave master. And taxation is a statement to say this country is not your country. Because if you're a citizen, you don't pay taxes if you're a citizen. And that's why rich people, those who are rulers, the 10%, the super rich don't pay taxes. And I've already explained that concept that rich people don't pay taxes because taxes does not impact on them. I mean, anything not impacting on you is ineffective. I mean, it's non-existent. If the cost of living doesn't affect you because you're rich, it is ineffective. You don't suffer the cost of living, so you don't pay taxes because the cost of living is a form of taxation. And if you have to pay for the basic necessity, that is a tax. And they may actually tell you differently, but in everything you have to pay. If you have to pay for something, it's a taxation. You buy food because you have to really survive on food. You buy energy, you buy water, you have to survive. Those are taxation. I mean, anything, if you have to pay for food, you have to pay for energy, you have to pay for rent. Rent, in like you're paying mortgages or you're renting your property. If you have to buy a home, that is a tax. As long as you have to pay for it, as long as it's a basic necessity, as long as every time you spend your money, you feel it. You feel the loss of finance, the loss of freedom, financial freedom. But this doesn't affect the rich. The super rich actually can buy a house cash. They can buy an aeroplane cash. They can buy everything they want cash. And it doesn't impact on them. They don't feel it. They can give you money. I mean, a rich man can give you £1,000,000 or $1,000,000. Just like that. Clean. And they don't even feel it. Because they are multi-billionaires. And they are worth hundreds of millions of US dollar. And that is just, they control so many assets. Some of their assets are not even counted. So, what we know is net worth are actually, the icing on the cake of how rich people are. Rich people are very, very, very rich. And poor people are very, very poor. That makes them very, very, very slave. And makes the rich people very, very, very masters. And trust me, that is the relationship. That is the slave master relationship. It is global. It is capitalistic. It is militaristic. And military now is going more and more privatized. Is going more and more private. Everything is being private, and we talk about privatization in the videos. I'll be talking about them again, and right now I'm talking about it again because it's so important. I want people to really not lose track of it because life moves very quickly, especially the social media, the YouTubing environment move really, really, really quick. So I'll be repeating this thing over and over and over. And like we have been talking about the militarism going on in featuring actually militarism featuring in Ukraine, in the war of Ukraine, and that is actually reminiscent. Because the thing is that capitalism is run by the military system, the security system, the police, the prison, the legal system. These are actually the power which drive globalization, capitalism. But if you think of the legal instrumentation, the constitution, policy, and all these other power that actually moves, you think of one thing. The ultimate force in the world is actually the military. The military system is actually the ruling instrument. Something now actually being covered up under democracy. Democracy is a myth. It doesn't exist. Wherever there is rule, there is no democracy. You amuse yourself as much as you like because you think you live in a free world. People think they are free. They can do whatever they want. Well, do whatever you want if you have the opportunity. Even slaves can have time off slavery. That's why you get some time off during the weekend. You go on holiday. You go and drive your nice car. There is something in London now called UEL, ultra, ultra. What do you call it? Um, um, ultra, ultra clean. Um, ultra, ultra clean. Emission. Whatever. It's called UEL. UEL. It's actually um my goodness, it's a form of tax actually on environmental pollution on vehicles in London, in the UK. And recently, last week, it has been let me see what it is. It's really a shame. Let me see what I see quickly. My dear. Bear with me a second. Ultra low emission zone. That's what it is. Ultra low emission. Ultra low ULE uh ULEZ. I think it's called ULEZ. It's called ULEZ. I'll leave a comment below if you know anything about ULEZ. ULEZ in addition to congestion charges in the UK, especially in London, in the big cities, where if you drive in certain areas where you are not allowed to drive without being charged, you are charged a tax called congestion charges. Now there's another one called ultra low emission zone, an ultra low emission zone. So this is actually targeting old vehicle, high polluting vehicles, trucks and buses, coaches, and cars, motorcycles. And if you drive a new car, you are excluded. If you drive an old car, you are actually taxed. So if you look at this, it's also a tax against the poor because the poor cannot afford new cars. Simple as that. So it's a message to say many are not supposed to drive in the world, because what happens in one country is going to happen everywhere. It's going to go global. If it is not happening in your country, just wait for it. So start with the city, the inner big part of the cities, and now last week is now in London being expanded. I think 30 square miles around the central London. So it just keeps expanding like that. Eventually, it's going to cover the whole country. Anywhere you drive, you're going to pay something like £15 every time you drive in the zone. In that zone, every time you drive in that zone, ultra low emission zone, you pay about £15 a day for driving around there, 24/7. Whether at night, whether during the day, you're polluting the air. You're going to pay for it. The rich people can pay it, and they don't experience it at all. So I mean, what is £15 to a rich person? But to a poor person who is on a low pay and also on low income, maybe on benefit, maybe on government help, these people actually, I mean, that is 50% of their um their benefit almost. I mean, a quarter percent. You know, a quarter of their income. And for a rich person, that is actually money. They don't even. I mean, if it is lost somewhere in the home, they don't even look for it. £15. If I mean, if a rich person sees £15 on the table, he doesn't touch it, because see, that is nothing. It's like it's like a toy used for child's play, and that is the difference between a ruler and a servant, which is the so-called citizens who are poor. I mean, how relevant is it being a citizen? And I'm not saying rich people are necessarily citizens. You can't be a citizen if you are rich and you are at war all the time, because there is no peace for the wicked. We are all under the same wrath. We are all under the same law. We are on the run. The rich people are actually in hiding. The rulers are actually in hiding. They're hiding from the slaves, because the slaves are increasing in number, and they are threatening the safety of the rulers. So you see, they have to really live in hiding now. So no peace for anyone until we stop ruling over one another, and we cannot do that until we learn to respect one another. We cannot do that until we educate ourselves. I mean, if society is to learn one thing and one thing only, that is going to be respect. Because you see, you may think I am out of my mind. In many ways, I am. But in many, many more ways, I'm not. I'm actually saying, if you think about it, what you need to solve the world's problem is respect. If you stop disrespecting other people, you stop ruling over them, and you stop fighting. The moment there's no fighting, there's no threat. You don't threaten anybody if they don't think you're going to hurt them. Simple as that. And then if humans start respecting other humans, they will start looking after one another. They will provide security, human security. Now we'll talk about social security. We're talking money. There's something called social security. We'll talk about money. We're not talking about people. Social, from where I used to live, social means where people are gathered together. It's like social media. Social means these people are actually gathered together, interacting. So, social security is now money, wealth, free money given. I mean, social security should be actually security provided by your family, the people, not even things. Things are actually to provide assurance that your life is going to be comfortable, you can sustain your life, you're going to stay alive. That is the value of property. Food, energy, housing, you see? And that is the cost of living. The cost of living is actually an opportunity for you to change the way you think. That is the solution. Solution actually heal your life. Heal your life. You are actually sick, including me. We are all in this together. I'm no different. We need cultural healing. We need to heal our head, our minds, our souls, renew our minds. Clean up. Do the right thing. The right thing is actually respect. Change the way you think. Because we are actually providers of resources. We provide resources for one another. And as humans living together, we are complete. Nothing lack. We are supposed to lack nothing. Absolutely nothing. We have everything we need and much, much, much more. And every time we actually pay attention to the value of humanity, and this is actually my central argument, we have to focus on humanity more. We focus on things, the way our hair looks, the way we look, which is fine. That is good. I mean, look after yourself, because have respect for yourself. Dress up well. Do be the best. Do everything. I mean, believe in yourself. You are actually the best. I've been saying this again and again and again, and it is at the heart of our civilization, if you want. Because now we are very uncivil. We call our neighbors strangers, and literally we actually don't even see them for months and years. You see, and families now you can stay for 10, 20 years without actually speaking to your dad, your mom, or your brother, or your sister, or even your wife. She might not be even living with you. There are other actually people living in Europe, men in Europe, their wives are in Africa or in another, or Canada, in America, or in Sweden. What kind of life is that? How can your wife live miles and miles away from you and your husband? And it's also your children and your parents. People are supposed to live together. People are not supposed to live in isolation. Like we show with the lockdown. Lockdown was actually very spooky. One of those things you don't want to hear of again or ever. But COVID-19 is probably the beginning of lockdown. There are going to be more lockdowns. Things like fuel crisis. The government can order people to stay indoors for security reasons because there are risks out there. People are panicking, buying, rioting, maybe whatever. And until we begin to really learn peace and respect and stop ruling over one another, then we are going to be in serious trouble. And that's why I chose to talk about militarism as a sign of trouble. There may be war in Ukraine, and there has also been war in Ukraine and in very many different parts of the world, in Syria, in Israel, in Africa, many parts. Let me name them. Yes, people are fighting different types of war. Sometimes people fight economic war, and receiving a phone call. Let me decline it and stop this video. Subscribe to my channel and support my channel. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.